Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where I talk over a game, and today I wanted to talk about companies that say that they are neurodivergent friendly and should you try to find work there. Now obviously I have to start with I don't know how every company works, and I don't know which companies exactly are actually accepting of neurodivergence and in what way, but I have seen a few companies advertise that they are. And I've worked at several companies, not the ones that actually advertised that they were, but just in general. So I have some experience there. And from what I'm gathering, the companies that actively advertise that they are welcoming to people who are on the spectrum, for instance, or people with ADHD, they're either doing one of two things, or maybe both. Thing one is they're trying to check a box because they want to be seen a certain way. They want to be seen as inclusive and hip and happening and with it and all that sort of thing. So they go and have buzzwords out there on their LinkedIn profiles and their websites because they want everybody to know how great they are. But when you actually go there and you're neurodivergent, it's not like you're going to have an easier time. I saw quite a few people commenting on that. They actually worked at places like that. They didn't want to name which companies exactly, of course, because otherwise there may be some issues there. But they found that actually things were not as great as were advertised. Maybe worse, actually, than had they just gone and gotten a regular job, or at least a job at a regular company. The other thing that they might be doing is they might be expecting that people with neurodivergencies are all going to fit in a certain box. Like if they're saying that they're open to hiring people on the autism spectrum, they may be expecting coders and data analysts and people who are super analytical in general. And if you don't fit that box, then they don't really have much use for you. And when it comes to ADHD people, they may expect that ADHD people are going to be the creative marketing types that are going to have great ideas, that are going to give them the next viral marketing campaign that's going to bring in all the money. And if that's not the type of ADHD that you've got, then they also don't have much use for you. Now, generally, a company will be in business so that they can stay in business. And that means that they want to make money, and lots of it. So they will do and try anything to bring in more money, ultimately. And if advertising that you're inclusive towards certain types of people will give them more earnings in the long run, or more positive attention, then they are likely to do that. And you might get a little leg up when you're in the hiring process, but when you get there and you start to actually ask for things like certain types of compensations, or ask that they take things into account, like certain sensitivities and stuff like that, you may find that they're actually not super willing to do that, because that would probably cost them money, and it's a hassle. And particularly middle management is not known for being great with dealing with people who want something that is outside the norm. There will of course be exceptions, as there always are, but generally speaking, I don't think you should expect that you will be welcomed with open arms and that you'll get all the things that you need. You can get extra time off, you can get like a space to withdraw if you need like a little bit of alone time, and you can get like a couple of headphones or something, like all the accommodations that you would expect a company to give you or provide for you because they advertise that they would be neurodivergent friendly. You're not likely to get a whole lot of those, if any of them. On the ADHD side of things, if you're time blind and they really just hired you because they thought that you were going to get the next Labubu on the charts for them. Now, I don't mean that you're going to actually sell Labubus, but more like that viral marketing type of thing. They might be hoping that you're going to deliver them the next Labubu hype, so to speak. And you find that you actually need like a window of 10 to 15 minutes within which you're allowed to arrive. They're not likely to be very accommodating with that either. Because the thing with companies is they like to have a lot of people on staff that all kind of fit in the same box. And if that's not you, then that makes you annoying, and they might not really want to deal with that. Like I said, most companies have a certain idea of what somebody on the spectrum or what somebody with ADHD is like. They may have certain types of work set aside for you. And if that is not the type of work that you're good at, then you have a bit of an issue, because then they have somebody who is not going to do the things that they really want, but they do have demands. And even if you don't really propose them as demands, they will see them as demands because you are now a person that they don't really have much use for, at least not the use that they thought they were going to have. And on top of that, it's often people at the top of a company that decide that they're going to put out a message that they are X and Y inclusive. And like I said, middle management's not very good at dealing with things that go outside of the box. So they may have been told by upper management that, oh, you're going to have to get a bunch of people on board that are like this or that are like that, and you're going to have to make sure that they're comfortable But middle management might not really be on board with that, so you might get a whole bunch of passive-aggressive stuff coming your way that you didn't really deserve, and it's actually mostly directed, or should be directed, at the people that told them that they were going to be doing this new inclusivity project thing. And you're going to bear the brunt of that because you're the person who's in their face and not the CEO. So be prepared for that as well if you decide to apply for one of those jobs, and you're going to tell them that you are neurodivergent. That might be coming your way. Now, should you then avoid all companies that say that they're inclusive in that way? Not necessarily, but you might want to talk to a few people who already work there before you apply, just to see what the atmosphere is like. Hopefully it's somebody who is willing to really level with you, and also you can ask them questions about, like, what would it be like if I go in there and I tell them that I need a little quiet workplace where I don't get too much people around me or something. Would they be okay with that? Like that type of questions. Then you could kind of suss them out to see if it is indeed a job, any company that would work with you. You might get more success, though, in just looking for jobs in general, particularly at companies that don't advertise this type of thing, and just try to find a company that is, in general, welcoming and more accommodating to just people's wishes on average. Again, by talking to people who already work there. Maybe go to places like Glassdoor. I think they have a bunch of reviews from like former coworkers or employees rather of certain companies. You can check them out. So personal experience, people that you can actually ask or talk to face would be best. Another thing about companies is that they have an HR department. Most of them do. If they have a certain size, they need to have an HR department to keep track of everybody. And HR stands for Human Resources. A lot of people seem to think that that means that if you as a human have an issue, that you can go there and get some resources. But what it actually means is that it is the department that manages the human resources that the company has. So that would be you. You are a human resource for that department, or that company rather. And if one or more of the human resources start to do things that would not benefit the company, then it's basically HR's job to manage that resource, try to get it back in line, or to get it out. And in some companies, HR can be very sensitive to all kinds of things. So in some companies, it may not be the best idea to even mention that you're on the spectrum or that you have ADHD, because that might be considered some type of liability. Or they might think that, okay, right now you're not asking for much, but maybe in the future there'll be all sorts of demands. Or they might think, oh, if you ever have like a layoff round where we have to put a bunch of people out in the street, and if they're among them, they might start causing trouble because now we're being discriminatory towards neurodivergent people, even though they're part of Team X and the entire Team X is being axed. Like, they don't want that. Those scenarios, of course, are not great press for a company. So they might try to get you out of there before that happens, so they don't have to deal with that negative press. And it usually doesn't come down to straight up firing. Usually that comes down to some type of bullying tactic. They might give you negative work reviews on things that are totally unrelated to anything that might have something to do with your neurodivergence. They might transfer you to a position within the company that they know you're not going to like. Stuff like that, all in the hopes that you will leave on your own and that they don't have to do anything extra. Because if you leave on your own, then you don't really cost them anything. If you decide to quit, then all your finances are your responsibility. They may have to give you like your final paycheck or something, but after that, it is just done. You're out the door and no longer in their way. And that's what they want. So working for a company, like a new person at a company, I would not start off mentioning that you're on the spectrum or have ADHD. I would just kind of look around to see what people are like. How do they react to other people's what seem to be normal, reasonable requests? Like if somebody is asking for paid time off, what do they do? Do they give the PTO? Are they annoying about it? Do they try to like guilt trip people into not taking the paid time off or shortening it? Like, what are they doing over there? What are they doing in general to normal people on the work floor? If that's already going badly, then you wanting something to alleviate some stress maybe because there are certain sensitivities that are being triggered, you're not likely to get much response, at least not a positive response from them. If they're okay with that type of thing, then you can maybe kind of talk to a manager or a team leader that you really trust and just kind of ease them into it. Don't like start demanding a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, most people don't actually do that. They just want something, maybe something that's really bothering them to be alleviated. You can try to talk to them confidentially and see what they do. Like most people know when you have a good boss, like a boss that you really get along with, who appears to just want to work with their team to get the team on the right track, etc. If you have one of those bosses, you could ask for something. You can always, without mentioning your neurodivergency, say things like, oh, I always need a little bit of time to think about things before I can give my opinion. Like if somebody asks you questions during a meeting and they expect you to give an immediate reply to what was just being said, buy yourself a little bit of time. If you want to be somewhere quieter, you could say things like, oh, I really need like a little space where I can do like a lot of focused work. Like make it seem like this is something that's going to give them a productivity boost. They're only going to get the best ideas from you if you are able to get some time to think about things. They're only going to get the most work out of you if you can get like the right environment. You got to frame it in a way that it's something positive for them if they go along with it, and not that it's something that you want because something's negatively influencing you, because they don't tend to like people who have issues. You got to have solutions, you got to have positive news, you got to have promise of something better, and then you might listen. So in short, be very wary of companies that promise that they are in particularly good or inclusive toward neurodivergent people or other types of people in general. Keep an eye on what they do in general with their staff and use that to figure out how far you can go. And those are my thoughts on companies that have that advertised and ones that don't. Hope you found that useful and that it helps you in your job hunt. In any case, I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.